I don't know that there's something I want that bad to lose all that sleep. Our next speaker is Nancy, and my speech title is Throwing a Successful Party. Let's welcome Nancy.
All right.
How many of you guys have been to a party?
Yay.
Show of hands. Just as I thought, everybody. How many of you have planned or coordinated a party? Show of hands. Good group. Okay. After I finish my speech, all of you should be able to throw a fabulous party. And especially right now with the holidays coming up, some of you might be considering it, or maybe they've already volunteered you to throw the party at your place. So I'm going to give you some tips on this. The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get very organized, because throwing a party can be a lot of fun, but it can also turn out to be very stressful, and it can be very time consuming. So you're going to want to be careful with this so that it doesn't turn into a very stressful situation. And the first, you're going to want to do a few things. You're going to want to come up with a theme. You're going to want to prepare a guest list. You're going to want to find out what food and beverages you're going to have at your party. And you're going to want to try to make your party a lot of fun. And that could mean making it interactive, the music, etc. So the first thing that I would recommend is to come up with a theme. And this can actually help you tremendously in planning for your party. And there are a ton of themes out there. You can have a Christmas party, you can have a costume party, you can have a Mexican party, which I read can actually be very cheap because the food is very affordable and it can be a lot of fun. You can have a game night party. So there are a ton of possibilities out there. Those are just some ideas. Once you have your theme, now you can decide on your guest list. So, for example, if you want to have a costume party and you're thinking of having loud music and you're thinking of staying up very late, this sounds more like an adult party. So you're probably not going to want to invite children, and you're probably not going to invite your grandma or your Aunt Sally, who doesn't enjoy very loud music and staying up till 3 in the morning. So now that you have this in mind, you can think about your friends and family that do enjoy this sort of party and that you would want to have at your event. And the next step is inviting them to your party. And there are several ways that you can do this. You can keep it as simple as calling them, emailing them. There's Evites, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. They actually help you keep track of who's coming, who's not, who's a maybe. And people can actually comment on there, so it can actually make it very interactive and people get more hyped up about coming to your event. Other things that you can do are actually sending the actual invitation to people's homes. One thing that I want to point out about invitations is that this is the first that people are hearing of your event, of your party. So this can really set the tone. So let's go back to the costume party. You know, we were talking loud music, beverages, staying up really late. So if you're planning on having an event like this, your Evite, or if you're having a physical invitation, you're going to want it to reflect this. So you might consider something very colorful with fun fonts. You're not going to want something with cursive writing or something with just a white piece of paper, because it kind of sets a different tone for that. Like we've all seen wedding invitations. You have the fancy cursive, very nice paper, very fancy. So that sets the tone. This is a very formal event. Gives you an idea how you should be dressing. We've seen informal weddings, if it's somebody's house, somebody's backyard, and they want to keep it very simple, the invitation usually reflects this as well, and we'll save this. So once you have your invitation and your guest list and everything, this brings us to another very important thing, which is food and beverages. And I can't stress enough how important food and beverages are, because if you run out or if the food is not good, people are usually not very happy with this, right? How many of you guys would agree with that point? Okay, very important. So what I would say is always try to buy extra food. Once you have the RSVPs or like the Evites that are giving you an idea of who's coming, $50, you probably want to buy for 60 or 70. You want to have that extra food. You never know if they show up with unexpected guests either. So one thing that I gave you guys was this right here, this sheet that I gave you earlier. The website is on the top, and this is a really good starting point for planning the food and interactive events. So it breaks it down by appetizers, beverages, desserts, main dishes, depending on what you want to have. So let's say all you want to have is just appetizers. So you can check off cold, hot, and very light appetizers. And what happens is once you submit this, it will actually give you recipes that apply to this. I just found this, I was very excited. And same thing for the games and activities. If you want to have, if you're thinking about having a very interactive party and having some sort of games, you know, you can see there's shower games, kids games. You can actually click on those and it'll give you ideas of the actual games and how to do these games, because maybe you have no idea how this even works. So, if you guys are interested, you can go on the website right here and it'll give you some ideas, but I found this really, really good. The other thing that's important, probably just as important as our food, is the music. So you're going to want to have music that fits your event. And there's different types of things that you can do. You can have live music. If it's a Mexican party, you can have a mariachi. That always works. And if you don't want to have live music, you can have a DJ, and that can actually mean having more types of music than to having just one specific type of group. I love live music. And if you can't afford a DJ or the live music, you can just bring out your stereo or your iPod and put it, hook it up to the speakers. You'll be able to have some live music. And if you follow these things, have the theme, the guest list, the good invitations, the food, and the music, you should be guaranteed a good time with your friends and family. So that is the party. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, so now we are going to move on to the evaluation portion, and we have Jim evaluating Benito. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. How many of us could relate to a school day being different because we had a substitute teacher? All right? That's the first thing I noticed about Benito's speech. He started off with a question, or he started off with a kind of a statement explanation. So we know that, most of us know that he's been teaching, substitute teaching. And it brought us in. By saying something like that, it automatically brought in audience connection and relationship. I've known Benito for a couple of years here at Toastmasters. I know when he was, getting this job. So I'm in there with him. So this is an excellent structure of a speech. Get audience connection early, get something that's relatable. Now, this was a really I thought, organized content in this speech. Very simple. The speech sort of said it all. Do's and don'ts, substitute teaching. So I'm already set up for, I'm going to be hearing, that's the main point, is get some information about do's and don'ts. And this is an informative speech. This is a speech to get information across. I'm set up for it, and I've got two categories. As I take stuff in, I'm automatically thinking, well, this is a do or a don't. Well, this is obviously a do. But some of them you got to listen a little bit to. So having that structure, it was easy for me to listen and think, okay, he's either in a do or a don't, etc. Now, some of the examples he used, I think, were really good. The content that he had was logical, easy to relate to. Things such as being on time, being prepared. So it was easy for me as an audience member to relate to and say, yeah, these are the little things that make the difference. And we've all kind of had these experiences of being in school. He's already got me thinking back on both sides of the equation here, being in school, substitute teachers. Now, so it was great, good content, good organization. In terms of presentation, a couple things. Very much in character. Right from the beginning, he has a little vignette about how he dresses. You know, people say, I kind of dressed up for Toastmasters, you know, as a kid. Hey, this is how I dress for school. So he's standing, he's kind of like going into character in front of you as a substitute teacher. So this is really good for what he's trying to present. You know, he's in that role. Now, in general, I want to say he had very good gestures. There were a lot of little things he was saying, and he was just automatically kind of like acting out what it looked like. I swear he was putting down that, you know, that class, you know, roster, that seating chart down on his desk at the front of the class when he was doing this. Now he was just doing something down here, but it's like he had me in there with these gestures, seating chart, you know, be on time, you know. When he was writing at the board, you know, this is very convenient, this is black. Very, very natural gestures, very much like role playing. Getting into dealing with